Greetings. Welcome back to Hell. We have. I'm just heading to psychology class in Lockhart. Today is. What is today? Today is April 17th, 2025. Let's see. Yeah, things are still worse. The lowest price you'll see for gas right now is $2.59. This is gonna be a more serious little video. I'll make two in a row because I want to. Um, so if you're here for the funny haha, you won't get it. At least not for these videos. Just pick something else or whatever. I don't know. Thank you for watching my shitty content. Um, yeah, I'm just in a bad mood. Much more aggravated than the other day. So let me tell you a story. So back in the 60s? No, 50s. Back in the 50s and 60s, there were a couple of people born. Um, let's see. There was one man who was an orphan. This orphan was taken in. I think his name was Lyles, or his last name was Lyles. He is from European descent. He was white. What happened? He was white. He was like German and Irish and other stuff. And then there was another one. There's this woman with a few siblings. And she's mostly Mexican. So a little something happened called the Vietnam War. I don't know if you remember it. Because people are more illiterate and uneducated these days. Not to call you that, but it's not your fault. It's the fault of the education system. But anyway, the Vietnam War happens. The boy grew up into a man. He joined the army. He was in the army, and the woman was in the Air Force. The man was a combat medic. He was drafted into the Vietnam War to fight the Vietnamese, Viet Cong, what have you. He was a combat medic. He was in battle, but not like as a frontliner. He was more of like in those medical tents you've seen where they do the amputations, the penicillin, and all that. Take care of the wounded soldiers or the dead. So this man was very brave, and he was in, I think, Unit 173 or something. I don't remember the specifics. He was a very brave man, and he's very strong. He's a very kind man. He had his problems. He was a smoker, and he was a mediocre father. He was okay. He was good, but whenever his two children grew up, he didn't really want to talk about anything negative, just only asking if either one of them called each other. It's mostly about the positives. So this man was, I can't remember how long it was, but he served in the war, and he was never the same. He's seen so many horrific things. All the screams, the bodies, the injuries, children, disease, you name it. And he was left with post-traumatic stress disorder, as most veterans are. And what happened next? Let's see. Oh, I remember. And he eventually met. Well, this was actually after, because before he met this woman who was in the Air Force. She was very good, very good. She, up to her point before retirement, she became a chief master, which is very, very high rank. Not Master Chief, not Halo. It is funny though. But yeah, they had these two had two children together, two girls, and they were good enough. They were okay. Let's see, the man, the husband, he went to war because he was drafted for a while. I can't remember how long. I wanted to say 5 years, but I can't remember. But the woman, as good of a military leader and member she was not exactly very nice. She was very, and to her family, she grew up in toxicity. I mean, that's how it goes. if you don't know, in Mexican culture. Very not expressive with emotions, very angry, very hostile. So she was very, I don't know what she had. She had some kind of she has some kind of mood disorder, but she's got other problems too, where I believe it's narcissistic personality disorder among a few. But those are the two big ones. She was very abusive and toxic toward her own children. So the two girls she raised from birth, there were some good things, and they were taught manners, I suppose, but not very much else. They weren't taught how to work. They weren't given the experience of many privileges, as you would say in the first world country. You know, going to the movie theater, going through family trips. There's a goddamn mosquito in my ear. Got it. There it is. I got the mosquito. But yeah, she was constantly yelling, finding things to get mad about. Whenever she'd leave them a list of chores to do, even if they did it to a T, to perfection, she would still scream and yell at just to get something to mad at, no matter what it was. Very restrictive, very abusive. Sometimes when there's just so much to go into. For this little video, I'll just cut it down, like, and it was mostly just irrational. Like, when she was driving them and those two, her two daughters were in the back seats, and they were laughing together. They're just like giggling and laughing like kids, and she would scream, tell them, shut the fuck up, and just other horrible shit. Just straight up admitting, you were a mistake, I didn't want you. And just, yeah, pretty bad. It didn't get physical too much, but it was still very mentally and emotionally abusive. But still, either way, as soon as both daughters turned 18, they immediately left, and they struggled with jobs because they didn't know what they were doing. They weren't ever taught how to like sweep and mop and everything, how to maintain other things, pays bills and whatnot. Both went to college. One dropped out. Dropped off early. Wasn't for her. That's fine. One stayed. I forget what degree she actually got. But it was fine because they were surviving. They weren't thriving. It was very rough. Never really did catch a break. The one who went to college, she wanted to be a judge. She wanted to be a judge or something similar of that sort in the law, because she was very big, just like me. She's very big on justice, and I don't know, just interested her. But yeah, she went to but it turns out, I don't know how, but she went to the police academy in Travis County, and through the academy training, she met this other man. They were talking, dating, they were hitting it off, and eventually they started dating. And it was a little weird. It was mediocre. And eventually, let's say, well, her friends and her family didn't approve. There was like, really, this is the best you can do? But this man and the woman, they eventually got married. And before they got married, so 2 times before they got married and another time after, the man cheated on her. The man cheated on her twice. So once before, I can't remember the specifics, but I do remember one where, yeah, he was staying late at work. You know how that goes. So he had to stay late at work a lot because, you know, he had to be there. And he was secretly seeing his ex-girlfriend, who she was still kind of hooking up with. And I don't know if it was the same one or a different one, but my mother knew about her, and she gave him the benefit of the doubt, and he still betrayed her. And I believe she even found a ring, like, yeah, just like a jewelry ring receipt in the car floorboard. But yeah, despite all that, they had a child. They had a child, and it turned out surprisingly very healthy, despite the man having testicular cancer. And this child was conceived, um, if you're curious about that, they had to remove it. The doctor didn't even need to touch it. He saw it. He was like, "Oh, that's cancer." But yeah, that got removed. The child, both the parents were good towards the child, but the husband was not very good to the wife. Just very neglectful. No birthday presents. No birthday presents. No Christmas presents. Mother's Day. Nothing. There was, I believe, one present ever given, and it was like a gift card or something. And yeah, she tried her damnedest, but after 5 years of 5.5 years of being married, she couldn't take it. She had to divorce him because it was planned for him to get, because they were officers inside the jail, and they planned for the husband to promote and get up to sergeant rank to get better pay, better hours, and everything. But it turns out he failed the test, and my mother actually passed. Yeah. So. Yeah. So the wife passed the test. She ranked up to sergeant, and the husband was very upset. He was upset and threw a hissy fit, and that was the final straw. They got a divorce. They stayed in the same neighborhood and remained friends for a while until other stuff. Maybe I'll get into it later. But yeah, and that child was me. So that child was me. Yeah, my parents divorced when I was 5, and well, the family dynamics on my father's side, it's actually all right. It's pretty good. On my mother's side, it's very Mexican, if you will. We all love each other to death. We would do a lot for each other, but we're still very toxic. We can get petty. We all have anger issues. Pretty much every single one of us does. And there's a line of, I wouldn't say mental illness, but we all got at least like one disorder, whether it's some, usually we have lots of trauma and neglect from parents. Hopefully I can be the one to end that cycle. I don't know if I'll ever have children, but I probably won't, considering this economy, but you never know. So yeah, that's just a little story of my grandparents and my parents. Very just basic rundown. It's a lot more deeper than that, but that's the basics. So yeah, little end of story time, and I'll make another video here shortly.